listen to me now. Let me just check. I'll just be checking. Can anyone, is anyone there and can tell me if my sound is now on? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's now on. Okay. Thank you, Patricia. Okay. Come on. I had already given like this full speech of of our ancient origins. And okay, so here we go again. Speaking about timelines, you know, and okay. And how we have, this is not the first time that we do this. And I'm not saying even in this physical body, you know, we have been doing this and are continuously doing as I'm talking about. And by doing this, I mean moving into the next stage, you know, like right now in the infinite field of probabilities, we have already achieved this. And I mean, moving on to fifth density, to seventh density, to coming from ninth density, we have already achieved this. When we are aware of this, then it's not creating something from scratch. It's actually just remembering it because it's already in one or in many of our spatiotemporal constants in our timelines, in some of our timelines. It has already happened. This shift has already happened. So we just need to access and put so much energy on those, on that timeline, on that best timeline for us to embody, to experience, and route it into this timeline that in which we are existing right now, into this core timeline, which is evolving due to the different branches that are constantly fusioning into this core timeline. However, as I was saying, because sometimes there is this fear of whether if we are going to make it or not, as the same fear of becoming the most evolved expression of yourself, surrendering to your power. And that fear is related to the unknown. And this is a very important topic because it's related also to the conscious technology. Because that fear to the unknown was just imprinted through the separated consciousness or consciousness of separation, because that consciousness does not realize that everything has happened already and that you are not isolated from all the space-time fabric, and that you can actually access from this point, from this coordinate, all the way to any spatiotemporal constant or timeline that you wish to, and funnel all your power through your heart vortex, and then bring in that information and weave it into this timeline. So then there is no fear because you know that you already nailed it, that you already have accomplished it. You just need to remember that it has already happened. But when we separate our consciousness, then we are learning. It's different from remembering. When we remember, we know and we acknowledge that it's already within us. It has already existed at some point in our reality. So we just need to bring in the information and experience it once more. But when we're not aware of that, then the learning process is like, and what if I don't get it? You already have gotten it in another timeline. You just need to bridge into that timeline. And this happens for everything, you know, not only as a collective trying to manifest the best outcome for the whole humanity. This also comes at a very individual level. You know, it's like riding a bike. Once you have ridden the bike, you won't never forget it. Yet, the thing is that this amnesia that was imprinted by, this is super important. How does it function at a quantum level? Because when it comes to spirituality, and even, you know, like through all these stories of the soul, there is involved a lot of drama. You know, like this species came and then that happened, and now we need to do this and these factions, and that's true. The thing is that the universe doesn't read that. The universe is like, okay, so coherence, decoherence, a strong force, weak force, you know. And in order to have created this simulation reality, they did it based on fundamental foundations of the holographic field. It's nothing new. It's nothing out of source. It's just the same commands used differently. And this is super, super, super powerful when you truly comprehend it, because then you can just use the very same force for another outcome. And then there is no feeling that there is another force that has more power than you or has power over you, because then you realize that everything is within you and that you can access to that information when your heart is open. And I'm going to give a little bit of scientific keynote on this, because when your heart is open, again, it's not in this romantic way like la 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 la. Yeah, it can be, and it will be beautiful to also bring that part. Yet it also is talking about the heart brain, the heart neurons. When your heart neurons are are quite empowered more than your gut brain, because your gut brain, unfortunately, was encrypted to pick up all the information from the simulated matrix, which is mainly pure decoherence. Imagine decoherent waves, decoherence waves. And these decoherent waves, what they are doing is that they are decreasing the speed in the evolution, because they are showing a lot of entropy. You know, you can call it chaos, because things are not coming together. Things are not like piecing up and generating alliances, these forces in between one another. Just as, imagine like a teenager, you know, it's like the teenager is just becoming to acknowledge his or her emotions, and all those emotions are sped up. So again, with another example, it's like when you have the bathtub and you remove the cord of the bathtub, that the water starts to go into the drain. The water that it's going, that is moving closer to the drain, is highly coherent, highly coherent. The water that it's outside, you know, in the outer side of that motion, it's quite decoherent. There are waves coming from one side to another, and that's how this reality was designed. It's like creating a boundary in human consciousness, in human awareness, in between the singularity, which is the center, which is the unity, and the outer aspect, the outer side. Through that boundary, it's like most of the humanity is in the outer side, just moving into the waves, not knowing what's happening, but feeling a pull, an energy pulling, but they don't know. And that not knowingness, that unknowingness translates into the emotional part, emotional body, the energetic body, the biological body. Why? Because through the time control system, through all the institutions that have been created to command over humanity, is by keeping that humanity in that decoherent field. The boundary is the amnesia, and not allowing them to connect to their core. So removing that boundary is remembrance. And remembrance is through the neurons, not these ones. These ones do function and function amazingly. Yet the first ones to remember are the ones in the heart. The first ones to respond are the ones in the gut brain. And the last ones to process that which is being perceived are these ones, and then construct thoughts and realities, which is super powerful. Yet the main that could actually, because there are a lot of neuroscientists trying to find the memory, which is very much related to the hippocampus. It's very much related. However, if you want to unlock your memory, here in the heart, because are the first receptors, intuition. And then it's also called introspection, if we want to go into another kind of neuroscience terms. But that introspection is the coherence in between the central part of our brain and our heart. And I will be talking about this now in Florida in around 15 days, 18 days. Very excited because we will be talking about memory retrieval and teaching how to apply it. So anyway, and so if we empower this through the power to remember, then the neurons in our gut brain will be influenced by this one, and we will be using this memory, this energy, the energy that these neurons are picking up, to actually be that decoherent motion outside the, like, again, the bathtub, the example of the bathtub, that decoherent field, that it's creating the coherent field at the center, commanding it, because decoherence needs to exist. The thing is, where are we standing at? Outside, inside, at the center, or all of them? And onto what extent, at what percentage in each one of them? And this simulation matrix was created to have most of the humanity on the decoherent line, having the boundary of amnesia and not being able to connect with themselves at the core. And these ancient artifacts, actually, most of them, what they are doing through their frequency is enabling that process of remembrance. How? Because the frequency that these artifacts are emitting, and I have shown this a couple of times. This is a cube made of calcite. It glows at night, and it has very Egyptian carvings. Speaking of unity, and it was found here in Mexico. And the cube is a powerful device. The power, it's a conscious technology. And what do I mean by conscious technology? When you see this, you know it's alive. And not only because it's a crystal, because it is connected to a matrix. And that matrix is existing at higher densities. How would I know at higher densities? Because all this technology, this is a little bit heavier. Mm. All this technology is actually coming from the future. How? Just think about it a bit. I will be talking about, because that's the topic of the video, you know, the relation of the Omnivision key with the artifacts that have been found recently everywhere with this symbol. And I have videos that I will be showing about some artifacts being excavated with this exact symbol. The other ones that have been found are carrying the same resonance, but I will explain the difference. Just want to finish with this train thought. So why are they coming from the future? Densities, dimensions. If we keep on saying that we are right now inhabiting in a 3D, you want to know what a third density is, what a 3D is mainly stillness, very slow motion. Why? Because the information is barely moving. It's thick. And you know that this is why when you go in astral projection or bilocation or teleportation into higher densities, it's like, that's so fast, and here you come and it's like super slow. And this is one of the reasons why. Because in the third density, if as a collective we keep on saying that we are on the third density, that's what we are creating, because everything is about perception. So there are a few ones like us that are moving or already at higher densities, and this is possible for everyone. You just need to acknowledge it and experience it. Because this guy here, our heart, and the neurons in our heart, the pineal gland that is here, the sinoatrial node, is the one that is actually connected to our pineal gland through and in the bridge, in that singularity, our thymus, and then sending emissions to what we call as the third eye, opening it up. If our heart is not open, the third eye is very difficult to remain open. And so when we are talking about this coming from the future, these artifacts coming from the future, if I tell you that future, like if you go to the space-time fabric right now and you see all the field with all the timelines simultaneously existing, infinite field of probabilities. And you might ask yourself, hey, but how do I detect the ones that are located in the past? And how do I locate the ones that are related to the present and to the future? Okay, we know that in that field, everything is present first. Everything is present in that field. And what we could relate to past or future is differenced through frequency. So frequency, what is about, as along with vibration, along with the energy that are emitting that frequency and that vibration, the difference can be defined through intermittence. So the higher densities, the angular momentum, the speed in which they are spinning, it's super rapid, super coherent. Remember the center of the bathtub. The ones that are moving slower, like a cow, you know, like with that chewing that grass. Okay. The ones in the outside are in the decoherent field, which is it gives so much spaciousness that they are, and by spaciousness I'm not saying empty. I'm just saying different waves of emission crashing and colliding to one another. What in the perception of the common stream science is related to life, the creation life versus colliding. Can you imagine having that parameter or point of comparison of what it is to create life? No wonder the reality is how it is. Because if you're saying that in order to bring life into the field, forces need to crash, to collide, to explode, to create a third party, that happens, yes. Where? The coherent field. How does life emerges in the coherent field? Forces dancing to one another. Again, the difference, frequency. When you are moving fast, there is no space for you to collapse because everything is harmonically entangled to one another. This is why when you travel back, like retrocranial teleportation or transversal wormholes, is because they are quite entangled, you know? So this field of coherence is enabling to go beyond the magnetic field. And the magnetic field, if we relate it to how it would apply in a daily life basis, recessive thoughts pulling you, anchoring you into loops, into time loops that are not any longer in resonance with your highest evolutive purpose. When you detach, when you go beyond that gravitational field, you're not capable of being pulled through your density, through your magnetic density, because you're already in the singularity, you're already in the coherent state. So not being drawn by negative emotions, thoughts whatsoever. You're staying at your center, at the center of your axis. You're going beyond the gravitational field. See how it's all connected? When we're talking about science, we're talking about our own reality day by day. When we're talking about spirituality, we're talking about science. They are quite entangled to one another. They're the same, just different words. And this is one of the things that the ancient artifacts are showing. What this is conveying, the unified consciousness, unified science and consciousness, unity consciousness, the capability to perceive through the eye of source, 720 degrees, 1440 degrees, and on. The key to open all densities by being within the singularity, by being the singularity itself. This is the motivation key, the capability of moving through all densities by inhabiting the singularity. And this is also what the Halls of Amenti talks about when they say that you need to sustain a very specific level of frequency in order to hold all that energy. It's not because there are mean beings, evil beings there trying to test you as Shivalva. You are your own test. You dissolve. And if you're in fear, you get lost. If you remain from a space of love, you're experiencing yourself from the 9th dimensions at once. And that is not just an experience. That is opening again your perception to the eye of source, manifesting from there, experiencing yourself from there, creating, co-creating from there. And these artifacts, as they come from what we could consider the future, is because from the place where they are coming from, it goes really fast. That's why they could accomplish this. Even if they created them in Earth, they were not in the Earth's density at that moment. They were experiencing themselves from a higher density while being in Earth. And they were rising the Earth's consciousness. They were rising the Earth's consciousness by embodying a higher density while being here. They are trying to restore, and they are achieving it, restore the unity consciousness here in Earth. If humanity stays in a space of omission or fear, this technology could be taken as obsolete. Merely this cool designs, beautiful. It's beautiful art. It was really very perfectly carved. It's not for that. I mean, we can use it to appreciate its beauty. Yes, for sure. They're truly beautiful. We see Ma'at. This was found in Mexico. I found it. I excavated it. And Ma'at is very much connected to the Neteru, the Egyptian Neteru of justice, with the feather in the hand. Why? Feather defines the gravitational field. A feather falling from the sky defies the pull of the magnetic field. When our heart defies the pull of the magnetic field, is because our heart is experiencing and existing within its own singularity. Singularity is the center that comes from two poles, not going to the positive pole, not going to the negative pole, recognizing yourself in both poles, yet inhabiting at the center in your axis. That's the singularity. And moreover, bringing all those two forces together, those two poles, torsioning them and creating a new experience. And that's what's happening to the earth. What brings me to another topic. I have been saying for a year now that the earth has a black hole at the center. And I have also been saying that this will be soon proved. Perhaps by the end of the year, it will make more sound as now the black hole in the sun. By next year, it will be completely approved. Because the reality is speeding up. Why? Because we are moving forward from density, from our level of perception. The faster you feel that the time is going is because the angular momentum of our consciousness is aligning to higher densities. So in order not to suffer it, we need to bring in our biology in alignment. And how can we bring our biology in alignment? Many forms. Heart, again, main receptor, and main receptor, and time. Restoring the time as we perceive it to the cosmic clock. Equinoxes, solstices, coherence. Heart, aligned to the true north. The north of origin. What? Yeah, when the earth was hit but by what we know today as the moon, Theia, and then the Kuiper belt was created. All those asteroids from the rest of that planet and other plates were crashed in the center of into the center of the Earth. The axis tilt, the Earth's axis tilt was generated 23.5 or 6 degrees. The same in our heart, 30 degrees. That creates a decoherence in our capability to align our brain hemispheres, our capability of sensing from our masculine side. When we align it energetically, our heart to the true north, we are remembering that our clock is inerrant. And in order to be at the right time and in synchrony to that cosmic clock, our heart is the key, the rhythm in our heart. Look, one example. It's not the same moving fast than speeding up, super speeding up. When you speed up your heart rate, okay, if you're in control of it, you can generate even orgasms, energetic orgasms. When you are not in command of it, you're almost fainting. So that is the difference in between sovereignty. When your heart is coming aligned to the true north, you're commanding it to align to the true north. And by commanding is not, hey, do this now. No, it's actually reaching that point of communion, of intimate relationship with your heart. Oh, thank you, Patricia. Thank you for all your comments. I will read them now. I'm super now into the info. I will read them now. Thank you so much. So when it's aligned to the true north, then you can actually now have it simpler to have your masculine and your feminine energies aligned. You know, because if we're saying that the heart has neurons and it's more aligned to the left side, then what's happening? It will be reflected in the neurons of our brain, having more inclination to the feminine feeling more, right? So that's why also now all this poles shifting, because, and showing even in society, women super into their masculine, men super into their feminine. It's the same as the magnetic poles, the Earth's magnetic poles. And then leads me to what I was saying. The sun has a magnetic poles reversal every 11 years. Every celestial body that goes through a magnetic poles reversal is why? Because it has a black hole at the center. It's the nature. It's the nature. That's how the torsion happens. What's the difference? If we align our torsion of our reality through our 0 point energy by creating that singularity, as I was saying, practicing with all our decoherent field of emotions and bringing it by command into the singularity and creating 0 point energy, then that will reflect outside. And the magnetic poles reversal will be a reflection of our inner singularity. That's how a lot of ancient civilizations, as the Hopi, nailed it. Because they had achieved the level of consciousness in which they didn't need to die in order to move into the next stage. So, super important what we are generating from within to manifest without. Now imagine as a collective. And now going into the Buga a sphere and the Omnivision key, I'm going to show some images that I also posted, you know, like the Buga sphere having innerly this pattern of the tesseract, 16 edges as the tesseract hypercube, being capable to be a super here and a sphere at the same time, one containing the other. Why? Because the technology, in order to go through the continuum of space-time, opening the space-time fabric and traveling through the continuum of space-time, is achieved through the tesseract, through the fourth density and forward. And we are in the fourth density right now, and even in the fifth density, I'm collectively speaking. And even in the seventh density, individually speaking, ninth density, eighth density, sixth density, and so on. Why? Collectively speaking, it was encrypted, a simulation reality, a holographic reality. More and more it is accepted, openly accepted, that we are a hologram. I have had comments on people telling me that sometimes they have seen me as a hologram. And so the pyramids, I have given this example many times. I have pictures of myself. I should show them once. I'm disappearing. That can also be related to other aspects. But what I mean is the more that we move forward, we are already acknowledging that we have the capability. This is one of the most powerful assets that we, or skills that we have. Time travel, interdimensional travel through the fourth density. These artifacts and all the beings that we see in the plasmoids and in other kind of spacecrafts, they apply those fundamentals. Moving through the tesseract, which is the implosion, which is the vacuum, and which can be achieved with any geometry. The thing is that in order to break through the fourth E, you need a fourth density vehicle. So it's the blueprint. You know, it's how it's working. And the sphere, the Buga sphere, is showing it. I will show some pictures now. Okay, present. Share screen. Let's see. It's here. Here we go. Okay, so here you see like the inner scan that was performed on the Buga sphere, and we will see 16 dots, very symmetrical. And there was just a conference, a press conference about the Buga sphere, led by the guy who has the Buga sphere. And it was fascinating to see that most of the things that I have been tuned into, they are now scientifically proved. And I have other topics that I will be sharing now, so that were not mentioned in the conference. So here we see the tesseract. This is one of the shapes of the tesseract. The tesseract, it's embedded in all the vacuum engineering. Here is another form of tesseract, another of its stages when it moves. And here we have like the fundamentals also of the particle of light. It's not the Templar cross. I clarify the Templar cross is based on the particle of light. As the swastika, you know, this Indian symbol was used for other things. It's the same. Here it is the particle of light. Here we see perfectly embedded. And why do I bring up this Sumerian bracelet? Because it has also 16 petals. So when we see the amount of petals that the Sumerian had, I'm not going to go deeply into this because it's a little bit complicated to just, I would have to show more slides and so forth. But one of the things that they were showing there is the number of loops of closed time like curves, closed time like curves that they had to go through in order to move backwards in time and get here. They were coming from the future. Again, they were coming from higher densities. Therefore, their density is moving faster. This one was moving slower. Therefore, they were coming. We were okay. They were coming back in time, decreasing their speed. And this was showing it was like an activation device for them to program the number of closed time-like curves that they had to go through in order to reach here, Earth. Okay, so I think it's, and now, okay, here it is. So now the Buga sphere, I have it here, just, here is the Buga sphere. It's not the the physical image is the pattern, which is becoming more and more famous, as I was saying. And here I'm showing the true nature, again 10, again decagon, again DNA Y, because that, as how they call them, how they call it here in Mexico, that chip is showing the bridge to access through the simulation program to bringing the codes from Sirius and from other ET groups that imprinted in that technology, what? The unity consciousness. Because it needed to be through, let's say, quantum technology, quantum mechanics, that in that imprint of a technological device such as a chip could imprint, could funnel and transmit all those codes into the simulation program. It is entangled to the simulation program for what? To plant unified consciousness. This is why the sphere that is in the hold on. This is why the sphere, the Buga sphere, has it's increasing in weight because it is feeding from the field at a quantum level. It is feeding from energy while it is imprinting its frequency, again, unity consciousness codes into the field. Yet unity consciousness codes that are using technology, sentient technology and chips to be in the same resonance that the simulation program has to bring this love virus. Let's say it somehow. That's what these chips are doing, and it is huge. So the primordial form of that chip is this key. It's going beyond the technological part, the digital part, and embedded very much in geometry and lines into what the primordial black hole is, which is the eye. So we translate this into geometries, and what we have is the fundamental or the blueprint of unity consciousness. And I will be sharing this soon. And I will show now some images, by the geometry. So what we, and I have shared this also in another video, I translated this 7 years ago. 7 years ago. These artifacts are appearing 7 years later. And what I will show you now are images, and I will be doing another video showing something even bit bigger. But now I will be sharing some images of how they are excavating this code in templates and giving us, thank you, giving us the certainty that this could have been for them a flower of life, the Metatrons cube, any toroid, any space-time geometry as important as the other ones. And when I saw this, I remained speechless for a while, integrating, because of course it was known. Nevertheless, no acknowledging that the moment is here, it's beyond words. And so now I will also be sharing more information of this omnivision key. Why I call it the omnivision key again, because it's the perception of source, capable to access to every density at once. And that is unity consciousness. And this is way more than I have just expressed. The capability of doing that is embodying the multidimensional nature of ourselves and commanding it throughout our full divinity. And this is why we came here for, to embody our multidimensional nature and restore the Earth's matrix to its 7th density. And we are doing it. We have already done that. Remember? So now we are just coming together to experience that unity consciousness and bring that reality alive. So I will share the images. Okay, so some of them is taking, the ones that they are taking it from the ground, they are downloading. So I will put the ones that are already ready. Okay, so this is one side of the tablet, and this is the other side. We can see the omnivision key. This is one of the videos, and Let me see if this one is already okay. This is a video where they are actually excavating it, and no, yeah, that one is not fully downloading. So I will present it with my next video. I will present it, both of them together, but here you can already see, there is the image of them pulling it out of the ground. You can see how they're moving all the roots. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating. Let me see. Okay. Okay, yeah. Each life is an opportunity to expand consciousness and move closer to divine potential. Indeed, heart is the gateway. Yes, it is. Thank you, the peaceful penguin. The stillness movement or within out and out at the same action. Thank you, Patricia, for sharing your wisdom. Thank you all. I will just check on the Facebook if there is any comment. And in the meantime, I just want to say that, again, as you know, we have our trip to Mexico. There are a lot of things that we will be doing, of course. Some of them we have mentioned them. Some of them are coming into full development as we are walking. I mean, at least in this field, they have already been achieved in another spatiotemporal constant. Now we're just remembering as we're walking the path and doing it in just the physical body and the physicality. And even though we already remember some things ahead of time, as we experience them, ground them, then the cycle is fulfilled. So we will be doing a lot of things in relation to the activation of all this information, this unity consciousness information from within the devices. There is even a petroglyph of this symbol. So, and when we talk about unity consciousness, it's also very related to the message that Akhenaten was giving, the last member of the galactic community in Egypt. And way before him, of course, they were all coming from unity consciousness. And now we are helping the network to activate within the network all these codes so that they can expand way more. The seeds are already there. Now it's our job, our task to expand these seeds. How? Through embodiment. How? Through configurations. How? Through working through the holographic field, working out our plasma body, being ready as the multidimensional beings that we are, in order to step up, occupy our place, and move forward from densities. Because again, we're not to stay in the past in relation to these artifacts. We are meant to align to them, because in that moment, the bubble dissolves. The moment that we align ourselves into the true present, not by wording, not by idea, by aligning ourselves to the cosmic clock through the increasing of our density, then the moment that the bubble breaks. And I'm so looking forward to that. So quite excited because I will be talking about this and much more and doing very powerful activations along with Sean in the Full Disclosure Now conference in our presentation. And we will also be in a panel talking about all of this. And so I hope to see you there. And also very excited for the other upcoming conferences in September, Las Vegas, the Alien event. Where I will be speaking about interstellar mapping in relation to the brain, how to activate the pulse of the stars, so very specific stars in your brain, therefore to activate specific memories that will open up your arc and upgrade you big time. That's only one of the talks that I will be giving. I will be giving two. The other one, it's a little bit of a surprise, but also in relation to that capability of using all this tech to upgrade your biology. And the other event in Dallas, the Breach Expo, also very excited and grateful for being in these three spaces. And about the Breach Expo, I will be talking about a new thing that I haven't shared about yet. So also kind of a surprise. Super important for sovereignty and upgrading into the holographic field, your level of consciousness, and start creating from that field in a very easy way. So I'm very, very excited on that as well. So, and mostly also excited for my divine tribe, Rion, regarding to the Breach Expo event, because it's the first spiritual conference in Dallas, and we know that there is a very specific and important code to open there. We're talking about the 5-point stars, and now I have Dallas, and like many things that actually will be upgrading the DNA, because mirrors, when we're talking about configurations, we have a 5, it mirrors because as above as below, then we have 10. So there will be happening a lot of upgrade in the DNA. We know that this has been happening for a while, but I'm talking about the breach to the luminous DNA, because huge upgrades in relation to the water, to the molecular structure of water will be happening. And things that I will be talking about as time moves closer to that event. And also, of course, again, the alien event, super powerful, super powerful. The job that David Seaman, that David is doing, David Said, it's super important. He's doing many events, many conferences, a lot of passion as well to bring the fifth density consciousness into the great honorable what he's doing. And not to mention Brian in the upcoming conference, Full Disclosure Now. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for moving forward this disclosure movement, bringing together the family as well. Team Light, I love you guys. Full Disclosure Now movement, I love you guys. The Alien event, I love you guys. I'm very grateful, very grateful for everything that you are doing. Now, Everyone is occupying their space. We're all coming together, each one of us doing their own magic. And this is what it's about. This is unity consciousness. So if you're not clear of what your space in this co-creation is, remembrance is the key. Your heart is the key to upgrade your perception into that density that allows you to open up your vision into what is truly evident, in what is truly there, and not what has been projected to manipulate your perception. The eye of the heart is the eye of source. The eye of the heart is the eye of source. And the eye of God is our connection to move forward from this reality into the eye of source, the bridge. So thank you very much for watching this video. I love you all. And I'm very grateful for being present at this stage of human evolution. Happy to share with you all and happy to receive from you all your wisdom as well. See you soon. I hope to see you in all those events. Truly life-changing experiences. Also into our trip to Mexico, if you want to join, you're still on time, like still on time. And know that innerly and outwardly, it will be a divine experience to open up your heart, open up your divine vision, and moving forward to the next stage of human evolution, embodying your divine power. Thank you so much, and until next time, HUNUH.